You're listening to the Talking Air Filtration podcast, where you get to know the people that make air filtration possible and help us all breathe easier. Because clean air matters.
We'll get insights from air filtration professionals and learn how they became successful in their careers. Along the way, we will discuss best practices, guidelines, trends, and challenges in air filtration in a variety of applications. We hope HVAC, air filtration, and indoor air quality pros, including business development, engineering, building owners, and facilities management, will enjoy the insights our guests will bring to this podcast. In this episode, we dive into the critical balance between inventory management, customer service, and profitability. The key to success lies in meeting or exceeding customer expectations while optimizing stock levels to maximize net profitability. We'll explore essential strategies, including how to determine customer expectations, forecast demand, manage replenishment lead times, and make data-driven purchasing decisions. Whether you're fine-tuning your inventory strategy or looking for new ways to boost efficiency, this session will leave you with a clear plan for achieving effective inventory management. Let's get started.
Jon is the president of Effective Inventory Management. His firm is dedicated to helping manufacturers and distributors, service centers, and large retailers get the most out of their investment in stock inventory. Over the past 40 years, Jon has helped over 2,000 firms improve their productivity and profitability through better inventory management. Please welcome Jon to the stage. He's going to share with us about balancing your inventory, customer service, and profitability.
Okay, thank you very much. Glad to be here. Thank you, Randy.
You're welcome.
Wow, I noticed you didn't try my last name.
Correct.
Okay, don't worry
we all have
about
our
it.
strengths.
I answered anything, so don't worry about it. The last session, and you're thinking, this is going to be boring. Don't worry, it won't be. I am going to try to give you a few ideas in the next 50 minutes or so to get the most out of your inventory investment, to achieve what we call the goal of effective inventory management, to meet or exceed your customers' expectations of product availability. Oops, not used to this clicker. There we go. I want to stop right there. Meet or exceed your customers' expectations of product availability. You don't do that, you're going to be out of business. You've got to work with your customers to meet their expectations. But we want to do that with the amount of each item that's going to maximize your net profits. Okay, how many of you have trouble with your inventory? Anybody? Okay, few honest souls in the room. Never met anyone who was happy with their inventory performance. We work with some of the biggest companies in the world, some of the people who are most successful. They're always trying to improve. I want to give you, as I said, some ideas to improve. We want to turn data into information. All of you have, presumably, an ERP system. It has a lot of data in it. Most of you can extract that data into Excel worksheets. And with those worksheets, you can get some valuable insights as to what's going on with your inventory. Okay, ranking. How many of you rank your inventory? Okay. Do you know how you rank it? A lot of people don't. It's surprising. Okay, ranking is the process of classification. Okay, A items typically represent 80% of activity. Have you ever heard of the 80-20 rule? 20% of your products account for 80% of your business. I'm willing to bet you It's not true for anyone in this room. In your industry, we have found that 9 to 13% of your inventory items are responsible for 80% of activity. 9 to 13%. And 50% of your items, half of your items, account for 95% of activity. The other 50%, the last 5% of activity. Keep that in mind as you rank. Now notice, I am using the word activity. Most companies rank by one criteria. And it surprises me how often I go into a business and I say, what is your definition of an A item? What makes an item an A item? And they have absolutely no idea. They just know it's an A item. Most common ranking method is cost of goods sold, dollars moving through inventory. But best practice is to triple rank your inventory. We will take data that you can download into Excel and rank by activity, either hits, these are number of transactions, or months with activity during the past 12 months, profitability, and cost of goods sold. This triple ranking gives you tremendous insight as far as your inventory is concerned. You might have an item like the D100. Okay? If you were ranking by cost of goods sold alone, it would be an A item. Okay? A lot of dollars moving through inventory. But, okay, if we rank by hits, hits is a slang for orders, number of times the product is requested by customers, whether they ask for 10, 100, or 1,000 in one transaction, it's one hit. This item, few transactions in mediocre profits. Okay? If I have an item like the D100, my first question to my salespeople is, why are we having it? Is it profitable? Probably not. Or does it lead to other profitable sales? The perfect item is this E200. Low cost, a lot of orders, and I'm making a lot of profit. Okay? I want to push that type of product. Triple rank your inventory. You're going to see a lot of interesting things as we go along. We're getting information. Now, one of the drawbacks of ranking, and we see this in every system, is if we sort your products based on one of the criteria, highest to lowest, the top 80% are A items, you're going to see a huge range of values. I took this from one of our clients. This is one of their warehouses. We always rank individually by warehouse. The A items, based on orders or hits, ranged from a high of 4,750 down to 20. Okay, sort of highest to lowest, got down to 80% of my items, I was down to 20. B items range from 20 hits down to 3. C and D items, very little difference in the range. So you have a huge number of A items. They all shouldn't be treated equally. There's a big difference between an A item where you sell thousands, or have, I should say, thousands of transactions a year, and one where you only have 20. So, to supplement your ranking, we suggest you classify based on the number of months with usage in the past 12 months. How many months did a product have usage in the past 12 months. Now, we exclude, we pull out our new items. Typically, they're the items that have been introduced within the previous 6 months. Now, what you are probably going to find is that you have a few items that sold in all 12 of the past 12 months. I would suggest those are the ones you probably want to be sure you always have an inventory, because customers are always asking for them. Customers are always asking for them. We want to please our customers, meet or exceed their expectations. For most of you, I am less concerned about the products that sold in 3 or fewer of the past 12 months, unless it's a critical repair part that you have to have on hand just in case it is needed. It will shut down a client. That's my definition of a critical part. Okay? Let's classify your inventory. Instead of A, B, C, D, and X, that's 5, 13. 13 groups. Now, we always get into, should I be stocking products that sold in 3 or fewer the past 12 months? We always look at slow-moving inventory. Should we stock these products? Sometimes we see there's very little reason to stock them, at least on their own. Not that much profitability with these products. However, on occasion, we will see a distributor that really excels in hard-to-find filters. Somebody wants them, they got to come to you because the big guys don't carry it. We see profitability in these harder-to-find filters. So we look to see, can we make a lot of money stocking slower moving inventories, making money, maximizing your net profitability is the second part of our goal. Now, how many of you will measure profitability based on gross margin? Anybody? Yeah. Common measurement. Gross margin is the worst metric ever developed for business. Okay? I lecture at Purdue University. I said that last semester. 12 heads popped into the back of the room, faculty members. How can you say gross margin is meaningless? Every distributor knows gross margin. You may know your gross margin, your average gross margin, better than you know your spouse's birthday. Okay, I'm talking to the guys. Is that November 4th or November 5th? Don't remember, but it's 22.5% average gross margin. Why don't I like gross margin? Because you don't see inventory in here. To maximize gross margin, a lot of distributors will try to minimize cost of goods sold. How do they do that? By buying a huge quantity to get the lowest unit cost, right? There's only one problem with that. You may have a 2, 3, 4, 5-year supply of inventory to get that high gross margin. And as you're going to see in a few more slides, you have a cost of carrying inventory. 2 facts you have to realize. Number 1, you're not operating a pet store. Your inventory doesn't have feelings. If we work it hard If we liquidate it, if it's not needed, it's not going to cry. It's not going to complain. It can't feed its kids. Second thing you have to realize, you are not selling fine wines or antiques. Your inventory doesn't appreciate with age. It's not going to. Okay? We have some art dealers, fine wine dealers, totally different ideas that we have for managing their inventory. I would like you to remove or at least supplement gross margin with a better measurement that we call adjusted margin. Now, why do I say this? Okay, I'm trying to go back to the previous slide. Can you do that back there by any chance? Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, adjusted margin, similar to gross margin. Okay, I am dividing, my profit dollars. Come on, behave. Got to talk nice to it. I'm dividing my profit dollars, but my sales dollars. But from the profit dollars, I need to subtract my cost of carrying inventory. How many of you know your inventory carrying cost? Anyone? Okay, one of your homework assignments is going to be, by this time next week, you're going to know your inventory carrying cost. Okay? We subtract the cost of carrying inventory from the profit dollars divided by your sales dollars to come up with an adjusted margin. Okay? This item, okay, had a 40% gross margin and a 16% adjusted margin. Why? I have $12,000 in inventory. Okay? Some of you are going, okay, this item, annual cost of goods sold $6,000, $12,000 in inventory, I'm getting 1/2 of one inventory turn a year. Doesn't sound good, does it? But I'd have the same gross margin if I had $1,000 in inventory. I would have the same gross margin if I had $1 billion in inventory, because you don't see inventory in that equation. Again, adapt adjusted margin. All of your warehousing costs can be divided into the cost of filling orders and the cost of maintaining inventory in your facility. Your carrying cost. Okay, for some strange reason, all the textbooks call it a K cost. Include all of the costs you incur in maintaining inventory in your facility. The cost of putting away stock receipts, moving material within your warehouse, insuring your inventory, your rent and utilities, counting your inventory. If you don't buy it, you don't have to count it. Shrinkage, obsolescence. For a lot of you, this is the biggest factor in carrying inventory. Every time you buy something, there is the chance it will not be able to be sold or used. Okay? Okay? Don't believe me? Let's go look at your dead stock report. I know that's a hard thing to do just before lunch. Finally, the cost of the money, the opportunity cost of the money invested in inventory. Okay, we are going to take all of these costs divided by your average inventory investment to come up with your carrying cost. Okay, right now in North America, for hard goods distributors, it's ranging somewhere between 14 and 26%. Translation, it costs you somewhere between 14 and 26 cents to maintain $1 worth of inventory in your warehouse for an entire year. Now, a few minutes ago, I said by this time next week, you all should know your cost carrying inventory. On our website, effectiveinventory.com, under resources, there is a questionnaire for you to fill out to calculate your cost of carrying inventory. Okay? Fill out that questionnaire, send it to us. No cost, totally confidential. We will calculate your cost carrying inventory, look at all of the elements, and tell you if you are high, low, or just right for a distributor in your market. Nice lady in my office, Tina Snotter, a little weird. Oh, don't tell her I said that. She loves doing these questionnaires. Okay, it is confidential. We calculate your cost carrying inventory, shred your questionnaire, delete it, shred it, okay? We had a situation last week, someone called and said, I made a mistake answering question number 10. We said, too bad, fill the whole thing out again because we don't have the other answers, okay? Know your cost of carrying inventory. Notice in adjusted margins, as the inventory value increases, the adjusted margin decreases. Okay. Not only can we calculate your adjusted margin, which is profitability, considering the cost of carrying inventory, but we can also calculate your break-even point. What is the minimum adjusted margin you need to earn to be breaking even? Okay. How do we do that? Well, our questionnaire has 24 questions. 24 questions. You can answer most of them by looking at financial statement, profit and loss statement, some of you calling it income statement. On that financial report, you have income, expenses, and hopefully down at the bottom, some net profits. Every expense can be divided between being inventory related and non-inventory related. It's inventory related if you used it filling out the questionnaire. So as you fill out the questionnaire, just check off the expenses that you use. Everything else is a non-inventory related expense. We divide that by your sales dollars to come up with a NIREP. It's going to be somewhere between, what was that, 7 and 9%. Okay, I get so excited about this. Look at your slow-moving inventory. Look at those items that sold in. We suggest 3 or fewer of the past 12 months that aren't new items. Look at your gross margin versus your adjusted margin. You're going to see some interesting things here. For example, this item right there, yeah, we have a gross margin of 18.5%, but the adjusted margin is minus 6.2%. Why? Well, we have close to $12,000 in inventory, and you only sold $1,200 worth in the past 12 months. Anybody see a problem with that?
Are your air filtration personnel NAFA certified? Ask if they belong to NAFA and have their certified air filter specialist or NAFA certified technician designations. The CAFS and NCT designations are earned after rigorous exams and demonstrate that the air filtration professional has a high degree of knowledge and professionalism. To learn more about NAFA certifications, visit nafahq.org.
We take your items with a low adjusted margin. We ask your salespeople, why are we carrying it? they better answer one of two ways. If we didn't carry this, we couldn't sell that. You've heard that, right? Well, my group, my staff, we're numbers nerds. We will then say, okay, we're going to put them together and see if together they're profitable. Or, I had this one just this morning. We carry this to service XYZ Corporation. Okay, we got to have this to service them. We know we lose money on it. Well, how profitable is XYZ? Are they profitable enough to carry this dog along with them? We do an adjusted margin on customers. Okay, we want to be sure everything in your warehouse is either profitable or leads to other profitable sales. Okay? Going to go on to another subject, demand forecasting. A demand forecast is a prediction of the quantity of a specific item you're going to sell or use in an upcoming time period, usually a month. Okay? How many of you know how you actually forecast right now? How your ERP system calculates a forecast? Anybody? Okay, a couple of you. Very, very important. What's further important, much more important, is to know how good a job your system is doing at forecasting. Go back, take the last several months, and compare the forecast to what you actually sold or used. Now, in our company, we have a policy that no math that we use is beyond what you learned in the 6th grade. So if you have questions about our math, go home, ask your kids, they'll explain it to you. Okay? Absolute value, always positive. We take the absolute value of usage minus the forecast and divide it by the lower of forecast or usage. I want to know how good your forecasting is, because if you have an accurate forecast, you can stock less and meet your customers' needs. If your system is doing a lousy job of forecasting, you're forced to overstock to avoid stockouts. True? Okay. Know your forecast error. You want to be sure that your average forecast error is certainly under 25%. Okay? You want to be sure it's under 25%. If it is above 25%, you better look for a better forecasting methodology. Not only do we calculate an average forecast error, but we look at the number of products that have a high forecast error. Okay, over the previous, usually 3 months, look at 3 months, how many products had an average forecast error? Those products have experienced unbelievable exceptional activity. You got hit out of left field by some unusual sales. Okay? The better you forecast, the better your inventory performance. When we complete a program with a client, last year our average reduction in inventory, was 32.5%. 32.5% less inventory. No decrease in customer service. No increase in stockouts. We made their inventory dollars work harder. Now, in your forecasting system, you want to see if you have what's called a time series forecasting system. Time series forecasting models. Okay, what the heck are those? All that means is your system only looks at past usage history in determining what you're going to sell in the future. What we sold or used in the past is a good indication of what we're going to sell or use in the future. Maybe. You need to supplement your forecasts with market knowledge. We call it collaborative information. How are sales of products going to differ in the future from what you sold or used in the past? Your salespeople have a lot of knowledge. Your customers have a lot of information for you if only you know how to use them, to use that information. Okay? We establish ways of gathering information from salespeople, from customers, from the market, from management, from all kinds of sources, apply it to the forecast. And we always go back after the fact to see how good that prediction was. Because we find in every organization there are some people, some other sources of information that are very reliable. Other sources, worthless in predicting what's going to be sold or used in the past. Philadelphia, we have a client. Their top salesman, very loud individual. I know when he comes up with collaborative information, I can ignore it. The guy is consistent, he's never been right. On the other hand, they have a saleswoman. She is spot on. She says something's going to happen, it happens. Either sales increasing or decreasing. So, gather, apply, evaluate your collaborative data. Okay? Our tools in a good system will allow you to supplement what your system calculates based on past usage history with collaborative information, either a number of pieces or a percentage increase or decrease. Okay? You want a good prediction of what you're going to sell. That is going to allow you to be successful. Okay? Now, the more work you perform, the more analysis you do on your forecasts, the better your inventory performance. But a forecast is a prediction. Okay? There are two types of forecasts. Okay? Inaccurate forecasts and lucky forecasts. Okay? But we want to get that forecast error as low as possible. But you have to have protection against a bad forecast. You predicted you would sell 100, oops, you sold 150. Okay? We call that protection safety stock. Some of you may call it safety allowance. Okay? A lot of people maintain safety stock using the same rules for all of their inventory items. It's like they take a paint roller and paint across all their items. But the same rules for safety stock. Don't do this. Certain items in your inventory require more safety stock than others. For example, your critical items, what my original mentor, Buddy Silver, called painful backorder items. They are easy to identify. I come into your office, up your desk, and I say, hey, do you realize we're out of? I want you to fill in the blank. Your first thought is, how in the world could we be out of fill in the blank, and your ulcer kicks in. That's a painful back order, okay? It's like hamburger meat to McDonald's or French fries. Okay, McDonald's runs out of fried apple pie or ice cream, not the end of the world. They run out of hamburger meat, they're in trouble. Okay, so it's not going to be all your items, but probably 0.5 to 1.5% of the products you stock will be critical. A lot of safety stock, so that you can absorb unusually high sales and still have the product. And if you run out of a critical item, you're the last people in North America to have done that. Products with erratic usage, okay? Sales go up and down like a roller coaster. We're going to look at that in a minute. Products with erratic lead times. You have no idea how long it's going to take to get a replenishment shipment from the vendor. Okay, you have an unreliable vendor. Anybody in here have unreliable vendors? Okay, I know there's some vendors here. You all are reliable, I'm sure. Okay. Do you want to tell your customer? You know, the reason we're out of stock is we have an unreliable supplier. You know what your customer's going to say? Well, actually they're going to say, you know, that's a coincidence. We have an unreliable supplier too, and you're it. They don't care. It's not their problem. They want the material. Okay, high profit items. Okay. Now, you never want to miss a sale. You are not retailers. What do I mean by a retailer? By definition, a retailer is an organization where customers fill their own orders. You go to the supermarket, you fill your own order. We stock them for pleasing displays. You don't need, in most cases, pleasing displays for your customers. They don't see your inventory until they receive it. You do not need show stock. I don't want you stocking a product to fill up the shelves. I want you stocking products to service your customers. Or some items need more safety stock, some items need less safety stock. Okay, products with very consistent usage and lead times. Safety stock is a waste of money. Okay, products with a large number of orders or hits. The more times a product is ordered, in the vast majority of cases, the less safety stock you need. Because the more times a product is ordered, the more accurate your forecast is going to be. You sell 1,000 pieces a month, one at a time. I'm going to give you an unbelievably accurate forecast. If you're 1, 2, 3 transactions off, a fraction of a percentage off. If I sell the same number of pieces a month, 1,000 a month, in 1 or 2 transactions, forecast will not be that accurate. Because if I'm 1 transaction off, I'm way off. Okay, sometimes your products with a large number of hits are also your critical items. Those 2 factors cancel each other out. You might have some low usage items, especially very expensive low usage items. You may decide not to keep safety stock. We'll keep one on the shelf. When we sell it, we'll buy another one. Okay. Don't apply safety stock with a paint roller. Okay. We're going to apply safety stock using the average deviation between the forecast and actual sales or usage. Deviation. Fancy word for difference, the average difference. If you have a product whose monthly usage is very close to the forecast, you don't need much safety stock, okay? Compared to this item, usage is going up and down like a roller coaster. If you want to protect customer service, You need safety stock to be able to fill customer needs in these high usage months. Now, some of you may have taken statistics in college, high school, whatever. Anybody take statistics? You heard of standard deviation theory? Forget it. This isn't it. Okay. What we do is look at the number of instances where usage, I'm not used to this clicker, usage exceeded the forecast. I do not care about instances where usage was less than the forecast because I bought to the forecast, I'm overstocked. So we are only going to pay attention to instances where usage exceeded the forecast. Okay? I'm analyzing the previous 3 months in this example, but I'm only looking at 2 months because in March, the forecast was higher than usage. I ignore it. 10 plus 4 is 14 divided by 2 months is 7. I'm going to multiply that average deviation of 7 pieces by what I'm going to call a deviation multiple. Okay? Too complicated before lunch, but easy. Here are my deviation multiples. If I multiply that average deviation by a factor of 2, I will be able to fill about 95% of customer requests for products completely. Customer wants 10, I have 10. If I raise that to an average of 3, I'm going to get up to about 97.5%. Okay. Notice, as I add more and more safety stock, the increases in service level. Again, definition of service level, percentage of line items I can fill completely out of stock inventory. The increases get smaller and smaller and smaller. Why? Because I need a lot more inventory for the relatively few times where I sell a large quantity. Okay, we want to establish high and low limits on safety stock. Most of our clients say they don't want to keep less than a 7-day supply as reserve inventory. High side, 30, 60-day supplies. Okay, but they might set separate limits for normal short lead time transferred critical items. Okay, now, raising the service level, going from 95%, where I had a factor of 2, to 99%, where I had a factor of 5, is expensive. If you have someone who says this is a critical item, I want to see how expensive it will be to keep that additional inventory. Okay, running out of time. One big thing I want to emphasize is, well, I have good news and bad news for you. Which do you want first? Good news. Okay. The majority of your products cannot be accurately forecast. Bad news. The majority of your products cannot be accurately forecast. I have seen a lot of your inventories, a lot of filter distributors' inventories, and they are ugly. Okay. Your patterns of usage are weird. You have a lot of items that have this pattern of usage. Okay? You sold 50 in December, 20 in August, 50 back in March. Tell me what you're going to sell in January. You don't know. Most systems are going to look at this and try to calculate an average monthly usage, which is ridiculous. The average monthly usage here is probably going to be around 16 pieces. When a customer buys this, how many do they typically buy? 50. So if you're going to stock it, you want at least 50 on the shelf. How do we determine the normal sales or usage quantity? Not difficult. When you were in elementary school, you learned that there were different averages. Do you remember the mean, the median, and the mode? You got out of elementary school, you forgot about every average except one. If I say take the average of 12 numbers, you add them up, you divide by 12, right? That's a mean average. We don't consider it. We consider the median and the mode average. The median, the middle non-zero quantity, if I sort 50, 20, and 50, highest to lowest, what's in the middle? 50. Mode, the most common non-zero quantity. Again, in this example, it's 50. When I sell this, I typically sell 50. Not difficult. Excel will calculate your median and mode averages. If you throw your data in there, it's remarkable. Then we set up tables to determine how many normal quantities we're going to maintain, and we do that based on how often it sells, the cost of that normal usage quantity. A lot cheaper to have a high service level on your inexpensive products. The anticipated lead time, how long is it going to take us to replenish our stock, and if it is a critical item. Okay, easy. Okay, if I'm selling 50 at a time, I want to keep two normal quantities. That's a minimum of 50 pieces and a maximum of 100. Okay, the one thing you want to be aware of is when a vendor insists that you buy a lot more than you want to buy. Have that problem? We call it planned excess. The largest quantity you might have of an item is not the maximum stock level, but it could be the minimum plus the vendor replenishment package. Okay, I have to buy 250 filters at a shot, even though I want a minimum of 50 and a maximum of 100. Okay? I might land up, if I order 250 when I get down to 50, I'm going to have 300. I'm not going to have 100, I'm going to have 200 above where I want to be. Or $300 more inventory. We report out planned excess values in descending order. Okay? An item has a high planned excess value. We have to buy a lot more than we want to buy. I'm going to say, do we really need to keep this product in this warehouse? Is there another source of supply? Okay. You all know what your current inventory is. You need to compare your current inventory to a target. Here's where you are. Here's where you should be. How do I do that? Well, you all have systems that have replenishment parameters. A lot of you have order points and line points. This is also called a minimum quantity, made up of safety stock, anticipated demand during the lead time, and anticipated demand during the order or review cycle. When we calculate a target order, a target inventory value for your sporadic items, those are the ones that aren't sold or used on a regular basis. Typically, they have an average monthly usage, which is less than the average quantity sold or used in one transaction. We plan on having, the maximum quantity. Okay? Why? Because I don't know when I'm going to sell these products. Products that you sell or use on a regular basis. These are products where your average monthly usage is greater than the quantity sold or used in one transaction. Usually these are also products that have had usage in 7 or more of the past 12 months. Oh boy, complicated formula. Let me just show it to you graphically. You will all be reordering products when your net available quantity is somewhere between the order point and line point. Okay, the order point is made up of safety stock plus anticipated lead time usage. Line point, the order point plus anticipated usage during the order cycle, your order frequency. So the first part of that equation is the halfway point between your line point minus anticipated lead time usage and your safety stock. Okay? You'll be receiving in a standard order quantity during the time it takes to sell that. Half the time you'll have more than that. Half that standard order quantity, half the time you'll have less. You got confused. Send me a note. I'll send you an article to explain those last 2 slides. But your total inventory investment is not just made up of what we call your core inventory, replenishing the stock of products that are already established. You have new products that you're bringing in. You have special buying opportunities. Vendors come up with deals all the time. Sometimes you want to buy before price increase. Okay, you need a budget for speculative inventory. We don't want people buying just because they feel like it. None of you can go into the back room and print money. And if you do, I don't want to know about it. You need to keep your inventory within a budget. We will age your inventory. Okay? Age your inventory. How much inventory do you have? Greater than a 30-day supply of where you should be, 60-day, 90-day, 120, 150, 180. We want to get your inventory down to your target. What you want to have should be what you actually have. Okay, all of this will help you achieve the goal of effective inventory management. If you have questions, let us know. On our website, effectiveinventory.com, we have that carrying cost questionnaire. We also have a lot of other resources for you to achieve this goal. We aren't lawyers. We don't charge for 5 or 10-minute phone calls. Quick questions. Got a question? Let us know. There is my email address. Hopefully I gave you 1 or 2 good ideas. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Air Filtration Podcast, a production of the National Air Filtration Association. Clean air matters.